So don't you all have this regular discussions with the aggregators saying that this is,
But
the model is really paining us?
So it doesn't make sense, right? Because the aggregator business is their business model. We cannot comment on. Of course, there are certain industry practices that people should adhere to, but they are an online company. They are an IT company. They're not really in the food business. So for them to understand our problems it's not their space.
They do understand our problems, but they cannot do anything about it because they themselves are making huge losses,
They themselves are
right?
making.
And why people ask me that if they are making losses, then why are they continuing? So it's a valuation game at the end of the day. So many aggregators are there, and the hope is that they're going to acquire the most amount of customers, and they will be the last aggregator standing.
Yeah.
Which is their dream and hope, but it's not going to happen.
But Parth, these type of modules can't be operated from cloud kitchens?
They can. So there are brands that solely focus on cloud kitchens, but everybody
And maybe you can limit the menu?
We can. So we do a certain delivery menu where we sort of put items that travel well with time. All right. So when food travels over a distance and gets exposed to an entire delivery process, you have to understand that not all food is going to travel well. So we limit, and especially in Indian cuisine, we limit the amount of items that we deliver, and we always encourage customers to sort of come in and dine in at our place. Because we're able to offer them much more when they are at one of our restaurants or cafes. But when we do deliveries, we also see that, the customer experience, like you said, it becomes a commodity. It's not something that the customer is going to, value so much, because you're not going to remember food that comes in a packet. I do understand there are ways you do good, decent packaging and branding, but
remain on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. So we do whatever we can, but we don't focus much on it because the aggregators shave off 30% or 35% in certain scenarios of your revenue. So it sort of doesn't make business sense to solely depend on that. That's why we do it.
Unless we find locations where availability of food is very, very limited, right? So we have identified one new location where we have currently, seen that not a lot of restaurants are operating and people are finding it so difficult to get basic things like an Indian biryani or dosa or something like this, for example. So those kind of locations are pure play at the moment. And, if we are able to capitalize them at this point of time, then online delivery will make sense because the volume game will support the losses that you're making in every order.
Yeah. One more thing, Reshmi, to this follow-up also, that do you feel that you are facing challenges in terms of the evolving healthy eating habits of people, or is it not that space?
We are not
because you see, I'm sure in your case as well, a lot of people are now moving towards avoiding milk or avoiding lactose products.
Right.
In that case, how do you evolve as a brand to stay relevant in the next 5 to 10 years?
Right. So first point is, again, we are
Hey, valid question. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the first point is we are a mass premium brand. Mass being the operative word here, and masses' behavior and their eating habits will never change to the degree that what we are talking. This change that you're talking about, healthy eating, it's a very small percentage. And again, it depends on the people, right? So if somebody comes into our restaurant and they really want to eat healthy, we have plenty of options on our menu that is healthy. We have something called Bhukkad, which is like a pure, protein tandoori chicken. People can order that. Any egg dishes that we have, they're, high in protein as well. People can have that. We have had customers, especially in our Alsif location, the new one that we have, a lot of foreigners that coming and they have this thing that they don't want to have lactose and milk and all of that. So any chart that we have that can be made vegan as well. So vegetarian, veganism, all of this is a part of Indian food itself. So
now looking at the smallest of ingredients, like I was reading one article and it shares that sugar is going to be the new tobacco.
Yeah.
And it already is.
Yeah, so your replacement of that to maybe a natural fruitus or something like that would not actually impact the product, but would make a significant change in people going and picking up the product, because I think dessert is dying from the entire menu.
So customer purchasing behavior sugar has been fed into people's systems for such a long time that it'll take the equal, if not more amount of time to sort of change that trend. Healthy eating is a trend. Healthy eating comes at a certain price. all right, when you see, certain healthy eating brands or subscriptions, it is something that not everybody can afford. So it's a certain sect of people who are dedicated into following that, getting into a meal plan or something on the lines of that. It's not something that everybody wants to avail. And the reason why I'm saying this is because if you just look at the data, all the fast food chains, they aren't serving the healthiest food, but they're doing tremendous amount of business. The biggest coffee chain, all right, is literally selling you sugar and milk, and they're making and coffee, of course, and they're making a decent amount of business out of that. So to change that trend, it's a good trend to have, but it'll take a really long period of time to sort of change it and to get it subsidized at a certain cost. Because currently it's a premium. You pay a certain premium for eating healthy. Having said that, our menu has a certain balance. Now we can't make food that is, purely dedicated towards a certain health aspect, but we do minor tweaks in our menu wherein we sort of get the calorie count of the particular dish down. We increase the protein amount. So if somebody wants to have a healthy meal at one of our cafes, we have, say, tandoori chicken. It's a very healthy meal. All right, and it's tasty as well. So you don't have to compromise on taste for the health aspect.
That's what I'm saying.
If you want to eat eggs, all right, we have an omelette. We have an omelette pav. We have a bhurji pav. So it balances a certain amount of fat, a certain amount of protein, a certain amount of carbs. So it's a well-rounded meal. Now,
so when we go, me and friends, what we do is I tell him, give me butter at the side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got my point. So my friends, he'll take up on the pav bhaji, he'll put the butter, and then maybe I'll not put it.
Yeah.
Something like that,
And when it comes to desserts, desserts is something that we sort of focus, which is purely vanity. So if somebody really wants to have a dessert, we give them such an option that is worth the calories. So that's something that you have to ensure. It should not just be, an experience that people don't really enjoy. So speaking on the sugar part of things.
Yeah, because that's the weight you carry and you go later after eating the whole meal. Yeah.
So imagine something. So we do food in such a way, and she's the brain behind this. We have something called the Kaju Katli cheesecake. All right. Now imagine Kaju Katli is something that is, every desi loves a Kaju Katli. All right.